Shalom, shalom, Israel's brother Zahab Yalla.
Brother Kazawan.
Coming back at you with another cold cut, man. Finishing off where we left off at. But first off, we'd like to give our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right, finishing off where we left off at Isaiah, the 19th chapters, part 2 of the video. Lord willing, we can finish this up through the Spirit. All right, so I'm going to have you read Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 12.
The book of Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 12. Where are they? Where are they, thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts hath proposed upon Egypt.
Right, so the Lord talking his stuff right now. The Lord is all known throughout the scriptures for talking his stuff before he destroys the nation. Go to the book of Nahum chapter 3 and verse 14. What did the Lord what did the Lord have Nahum say through the Spirit to the Assyrians, man, about what's going to happen to them? All right, let's read about that. All right, the Lord is talking his stuff to the so-called white man's empire, man. All right, the Lord's going to destroy. And he did the same thing when before Nineveh was destroyed.
My Nahum ripped out.
All right, Nahum. Yeah, I'll read it. It's Nahum chapter 3. And I'll start at verse 11. Thou also shalt be drunken, thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees with the first ripe figs. The Lord used an analogy. He said their strongholds is going to be like fig trees, man. Right? If they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. Hey, don't Jake say that? I mean, y'all some, but he uses another word. He said, y'all some P words, man. Y'all ain't nothing. Y'all like women. That's what Jake said. That's what the Most High is saying to the empire of the Assyrian Empire, Nineveh. Right? The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies, and the fire shall devour thy bars. Right? So the Lord compared Nineveh as women on the earth, man, saying their bars and their gates are going to be wide open like the legs of a woman, and all their enemies are going to be running through, man. That's cold. The Most High says these things, and guess what? Then he performs it. All right, let's go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19.
I got a precept.
Come on, you can bring it down.
Psalms chapter 33. Hold on. 33 and verse number 11. Because like he said, hey, what the Lord said is going to happen. Right, this is Psalms 33 and 11. It says, the counsel of the Lord standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations. Right, so hey, his counsel going to stand forever. It's going to happen, right? No matter what people feel, right? They might not like it, they might not believe it, but it's going to happen, right? And we see it happening daily.
That's right. See, that in the counsel, it will stand. All right, go ahead, go back to Isaiah chapter 19, verse 13.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, to verse 13. The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Anaph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the state of the tribes thereof.
Are we on?
The Lord hath mingled the perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggered in his vomit.
As a drunken man staggered in his vomit. I mean, just look at what Joe Biden's doing. Every decision or every judgment this man is making is off, man. Sleepy Joe. Right? These countries don't want to be friends with America, man. These countries they're making every bad decision. You're trying to go to war with two superpowers at the same exact time and with no money as well. Nobody wants to, they're legalizing a lot of different things. Like, let's just say that a lot of transformers right here, want to shut down the channel, man. Right? They're legalizing a lot of transformers to be in a lot of different things, man. Right? They're erring in every work and every judgment thereof. Go to the book of Psalms 107 and 22.
I appreciate that.
Come. Every decision America makes is destructive to themselves like a drunken man staggering in his vomit.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 107 and verse 22. And let them sacrifice the sacrifices of thanksgiving and declare his work with rejoicing. They that go down to the sea in ships that do business in great waters. These see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep. For he commanded and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. They mount up to the heaven. They go down again to the depths. Their soul is melted because of trouble. They reel to and fro and stagger like drunken men, and are at their wits' end. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he bringeth them out of their distresses. He maketh a storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Then are they glad because they be quiet, so he bringeth them unto their desired heaven. Haven. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. Let them exalt him also in the congregation of the people and praise him in the assembly of the elders. He turned the rivers into a wilderness and the water springs into dry ground, a fruitful land into barrenness. For the wickedness of them that dwell therein, he turneth the wilderness into a standing water and a dry ground into water springs. And there he maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may prepare a city for habitation, and sow the fields and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits of increase. He blesseth them also so that they are multiplied greatly, and suffereth not their cattle to decrease. Again, they are minished and brought low through oppression, affliction, and sorrow. He poureth contempt upon princes, and causeth them to wander in the wilderness, where there is no way. Yet setteth he the poor on high from affliction, and maketh him families like a flock. The righteous shall see it and rejoice, and all iniquity shall stop her mouth. Whoso is wise and will observe these things, even they shall understand the loving kindness of the Lord.
See that?
I got a precept too.
You got a precept?
Yeah.
Can you bring it
It's
out?
the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 9. Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered. Right? So everybody in America, they in deep sleep. They drunk off the damn philosophies, thinking that, you talk to Jake, right? You talk to Jake about, hey, World War III gonna kick off. He was like, man, they always talking about that. They've been talking about that since I was a kid, right? Not knowing that it's gonna actually happen. That's the spirit of deep sleep, right? They get so caught up in social media that they actually believe these damn so-called white men that America army is the strongest. They believe that they have the strongest army. They believe that America not gonna fall. That's the spirit of deep sleep, thinking that America is gonna always last forever, right? And getting caught up in the ways of America.
Right. Yeah. That's when Jake. Yeah, Jake is sleep here, drunk. Because when you drink wine or a strong drink, it makes you sleepy. Right now, you want to pass. So you see people passed out on the couch. They be passed out at their friend's room. Because that's what wine makes you do. That's what America's wine makes you do. Go to Proverbs 28 and verse 5, and then you err in judgment. You start to err in judgment, man. That's why America, they're giving out this wine, but they're drinking that wine themselves, man. Erring in judgment. Read that.
It's the book of Proverbs 28 and verse 5. Evil men understand not judgment.
What the Lord say?
Evil men understand not judgment.
Right.
But they that seek the Lord understand all things.
So if they seek the Lord, you understand all things. But America doesn't seek the Lord. They seek Satanism. Go to Proverbs 31 and verse 3. That's why it was meant for kings not to drink a lot of wine, man, because they have to sit in the seat of judgment at all times. When all hell breaks loose, the king has to be the one sober to get all things back together. Read that.
It's Proverbs 31 and verse 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink.
Right.
Lest they drink and forget thy law, and pervert judgment of any of the afflicted.
And you will pervert judgment. But doesn't America pervert judgment every day? Every second, America's perverted judgment because America is drunk. They're staggering in their drunkenness, man, making bad judgment calls. Literally. You're trying to go to war with two different superpowers and your dollar is collapsing. And they're worried about if Transformers can be in schools or not. They're worried about the wrong thing. Your empire is collapsing, man. You see that? Go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19.
I got another precept after you.
Con, you can bring it out now.
All right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 2. It says, wine and women make men of understanding to fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become impudent. Right, and that's why men fall away, right? You can use this precept on different folds, right? You got men falling away out of the truth because they're getting drunk off the wine, and they start to lose patience that America is going to be destroyed. They're waking up every day, they're getting all hype, and then months on down, they start getting impatient, and then they fall away and fall back into their old ways. Right, I got one more precept. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 44 and verse 18. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes. They cannot see in their hearts, and their hearts they cannot understand. Right, and people can't understand, and people don't come into this truth, or they fall out because the Lord decided to shut their eyes in the last days. Right, but you got it.
All right, go back to Isaiah chapter 19. The Lord is shutting a lot of people's eyes. The Lord is taking back his understanding from the earth, man. Especially Babylon the Great, man.
Isaiah 19 and 15.
Yep.
Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do.
And we just read that in verse 8 and 9, that there's not going to be any employment. There's not going to be any employment. Even the people that are working at the unemployment office that give out the employment, there's not going to be any employment. Whether you're a CEO, whether you own businesses, or whether you're a garbage man, you're going to be out of work because the currency is about to drop. And once this currency drops, there's not going to be any money left to go around, man. Unless you're using a damn Chinese dollar, and you ain't gonna be using a damn Chinese dollar, man. You're gonna be damn looking for food to damn sustain yourself. Right, go to 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 45. Yeah, can't read that.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and verse 45. And therefore they that labor in vain.
What the Lord say?
Therefore they that labor in vain.
You know, you got a lot of people caught up in money, trying to get money. You know, of course we want to live in a society, use the word and not abuse it, but understand something. If you laboring during that time, you're laboring in vain. Your money and your silver and the gold ain't going to profit in the day of the Lord's wrath, especially America's money. And you seen their money and their economy going down the drain. Read on.
All right, verse 46. For strangers shall reap their fruits and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses and take their children captive.
And that's all that's going to happen, man. Once this economy fail, guess what? You're going to have people running in your house. They looking for food. They looking for different things based off the judgments of what this so-called leader, damn Joe Biden, is making in America, erring in judgment. But this is what the Most High is setting up. It's like a plot. It's like a movie. The Most High is having this play out until America's utter fall. All right, you can go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 16.
The book of Isaiah 19 and verse 16. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid, and shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts.
See that?
He shaketh over it.
And we just read that in Nahum chapter 3. The Lord called Nineveh women. The Lord's calling America women now because of the rebuking and the correcting that the Lord is going to be putting on this earth, man. Right? Go to, that was 16, right? Yeah. Go to Jeremiah 30 and 6. Right? We just read that in Nahum chapter 3. The Lord, anytime, hey, guess what? And what happened to Nineveh after he called them women? They just got destroyed, man. So the same thing that's happening to America, that's the same spirit behind Nineveh, man. The Lord's going to destroy this place, man. Right?
It's the book of Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, and as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness.
Right. So Jeremiah is seeing the last days. He's seeing Jacob's trouble in America. He said, "Why is every man like unto women? They got their hands on their loins. They scared out their hands." You're gonna see Dwayne the Rock Johnson crying like a girl in the day, right? Crying unto the Most High, talking about Lord save us, right? But he was worshiping damn Satan, man. Right? But guess what? All the mighty men, all your men, hey, this country's going to be like unto women in that day, man. Right? Yeah, precept.
Here it comes. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, and verse number 8. It says, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed, one at another, their face shall be as lambs, right? It's plain, right? It said they're going to be as women crying out to the Lord, trying to get salvation, but it ain't going to happen, right? Because it's too late, right? And, you know, on another fold, these damn Edomites, these damn Elamites, these other nations, they going to all be crying out as women as well, right? Because they don't have nobody to save them, right? I think I got another precept. I can't find it, though.
Yeah.
Isaiah, chapter 48. Right? Yeah, Isaiah 48 verse 6. It says, fear took hold upon them there and pain as a woman of travail. That's how bad it's going to be. Like a woman that's pregnant. Right? You're going to be a woman in travail, man. Right? But you got it.
Come. Hey, go to the book. Actually, read on to Isaiah 19 and 17.
It's Isaiah 19 and verse 17. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Every one that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid of himself because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he have determined against them.
Right. So the Lord said, guess what? Judah is going to be in terror to Egypt. We know Egypt represents America. We're going to be a terror to America. Everyone that makes mention thereof shall be afraid of himself. Right. Why? Because you have the Israelites coming back to who they are in the law, statutes, commandments of God. They're not just the N-word all day. They're not just black people anymore. We understand who we are. And we understand what we must do. And that makes America afraid, man. Go to the book of Revelations 11:11.
Book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse number 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them, and
Right.
they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
And their great fear fell upon them which saw them. Don't you think when you out there, one of your friends is that they're fearful in their mind? They know you're not just, they know that you know, right? You out there teaching the words of the Lord, they're fearful in their mind, man. These things have to come to pass. And guess what? That's why they have to slander our name. That's why they have to put out false things about us, man. They cutting up clips and images and trying to portray something that's not true. Go to the book of Joshua 2 and 11. Don't you know these things happened in time past when the Lord destroyed the first ancient Egypt? Now the Lord is destroying this Egypt. Guess what? The same spirit is on the earth as we about to read in Joshua.
Book of Joshua, chapter 2 and verse 11. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house and give me a true token.
And that's the spirit that's going to come back again. Don't you know that, damn, the Lord, he destroyed, we heard about these things. You're God's people. They're going to be fearful in that day just as they was in Joshua. Go to the book of Isaiah 13 and 8.
Precept that.
Come on.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 8. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them, and they shall be as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed at one at another. Their face shall be as lame.
And they're going to be scared as all hell. That's what that means, man. They're going to be as lambs. They're going to be as women. They're going to be scared just because we coming back to who we truly are. There's going to be Judah's going to be a terror unto Egypt. Now, you can bring out the precept.
Right, it's the book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 7. And ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. Right, and when we keep in the commandments, we come back to the Most High, we're going to have the power to do that in that day. Right, we don't got that power right now, because, I mean, we run up to damn 3 Edomite cops. They going to shoot us down. But in that day, 5 of us going to chase 1,000.
All right. See that? Go to the book of, go back to Isaiah chapter 19. So they're going to fear the inhabitants of the land, which is going to be Judah. They're going to fear the Israelites coming back to where they are. And that's what's actually happening right now. All right. Read on.
In that verse 18.
Yeah.
In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction.
Right. So what does that mean? In that day, there shall be 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan. All right. That's not literal. You're not going to have 5 cities in America start speaking Phoenician languages. Right. They're going to be next thing you know, they forget the English. Now they speak in the phonetic language from 3,000, 4,000 years ago. It's not what that's talking about. 5 is just represents a dispensation of 10. Right. It's just a whole. It's just a half of a whole amount. Go to the book of Matthew 25 and verse 2. Right, this represents a certain portion.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 2. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish.
Right, so it says 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Right, 10 being a whole amount, 5 is just being a dispensation of the whole amount. Go to Revelation chapter 9 and verse 5. Right.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 9 and verse number 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months.
5 what?
5 months.
That's just a certain period of time. It's not literally 5 months, right? Read on.
And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man.
Right? Yeah. So, so 5 is just a portion of 10. So what it's saying is you're going to have a certain amount of Israelites coming back to their heritage, coming back to their language, coming back to their nationality in these last days, man. Remember, the Lord said he reserved 7,000 men that have not bowed their knee unto Baal. 1 Kings 18 chapter, man. Right? So go back to that Isaiah chapter 19 and 18.
Okay.
Right? You're going to have a certain amount of Israelites come back to their heritage.
Now, I got a precept real quick.
Okay.
Right? This is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. So like the brother was saying, we're going to all come back to the Lord under one language. We're not going to all be having some of us speaking English, damn Spanish,
right,
damn Chinese, right? Everybody's going to be speaking in the Hebrew tongue.
Right. The Lashon Kadash, all right, the holy tongue. All right, so go back to that Isaiah 19.
This Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 19. In that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the Lord thereof to the Lord.
Right? So guess what? What is that talking about? Right now, you have this so-called Jewish man building an altar in Israel. Is this what this talking about? They said, we fulfilling prophecy. We fulfill prophecy. That's not what that's talking about. Right? Who is the temple? Who is the altar? Right? Go to the book of Revelations 11 and 1. All right? It's a spiritual, man. You have to remember these things are spiritual. I read that.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of Yahweh and the altar and them that worship therein.
Right, so you have the angel is measuring the altar in the temple of the Most High, meaning he's measuring among the Israelites that's coming back to the nationality. He's looking at who's the temple? Go to 1 Corinthians 3:16. You have to understand what this angel is. You don't have an angel right now in Israel measuring a temple. He got a hard hat on, and he has a measuring tape. Right, he sticks the measuring tape under his foot and he kind of pulls it out, and another angel says, "Stop right there," and he measures the width, length, and height. He's not doing that, man. I read that.
Right, this is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3 and verse 16.
Verse 6. Yeah, verse 16, yeah, 16.
Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahweh, and that the spirit of Yahweh dwelleth in you?
So we are the temple of the Most High. So the angel is measuring the elect. Right, go back to that Revelations 11 and 1.
The book of Revelation 11 and 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of Yahweh.
So you measure the temple. The elect consists of women, children, and men. Read on.
And measure the temple of Yahweh and the altar and them that worship therein.
And the altar represents the 144,000 that elect men, which is in the elect. Right? So you have the altar, which is the 144,000. You have the temple, which is the elect as a whole. Right? And guess what? Anytime we're trying to build the temple, what happened in the days of old? Go to Nehemiah 4 and 7. Anytime we're trying to build the temple, what happens in the days of old, man? Right? Guess what? You have enemies that try to destroy the temple.
Nehemiah what?
4 and 7.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 4. In verse number 7. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up.
Heard that we were rebuilding our temple. We just trying to get back to our land and rebuild our temple. Has nothing to do with nobody else. But what happened? What happened?
That the breaches began to be stopped, and then they were very raw.
They were mad as hell that we're trying to rebuild our temple, because they know what happens when we start to rebuild our temple. They know what happens when we come back to our God. They know what happens when we start worshiping Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, meaning they playtime is up on the earth, man, and that we step up in power, man. Read on verse 8.
Verse 8, and conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it.
And to what?
And to hinder it.
They're trying to stop in every manner of power from us to build our temple. Right, go to the book of 1 Maccabees 5 and 1. Khan, see that? It's the spirit.
This is the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 5 and verse 1. Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much.
It what?
It displeased them very much.
It made them mad. Hey, guess what? This happened in the time of Nehemiah, right? During the Persian and Achaemenid Empire, man. Guess what? A few hundred years later, the nations were still mad. Their children's children were mad that we were rebuilding our temple. You see that? Guess what? Do you think their children are not mad that we were rebuilding our temple? They call us a hate group, right? They say we hate women, right? They say we hate women and we're a hate group, right? And they say that we preach hate, right? We're homophobic, right? We're all of these different terms that they call us. All we're just trying to do is teach our brothers to love the Most High again. Teach our sisters to love the Most High again, man. All right, I'm gonna get forward and push you guys. Go to Daniel chapter 9. All right, go to Daniel chapter 9, because this is happening all over again, man. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27.
The book of Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
Right, that one. Hey, so guess what? Who's the he that's gonna confirm the covenant for 1 week? Right, that's talking about Esau. right? He's the one he always makes covenants, right? He makes the covenants and he confirmed for 1 week, meaning we're going to be able to build our temple. We're going to be able to be out there preaching the words of the Lord, right? We're going to be out there waking up our brothers and sisters and children to who they really are, right? We use the so-called First Amendment, man. But what's going to happen in the midst of the first week, right? Yeah.
He shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
No, read from and in that midst.
And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
And guess what? Esau always breaks his covenants. Just read the book of 1st and 2nd Maccabees, man. Right? His words were smoother than oil, man. But war was in his heart, man. But guess what? In the midst of 3 weeks to 3.5 days, he's going to stop that covenant. And then guess what? Jacob's trouble kick off because he doesn't want you to rebuild this temple. Read on.
And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
And that's called the third abomination of desolation, when they're going to keep trying to profane this temple. But this temple is us. They're going to try to kill you. They're going to try to take you out. They're going to shoot as many Israelites they can with fringes and women in the head with their AR-15s with the laser point on them, man. Knocking you off, man. Why? And cutting your head off with these guillotines. Why? Because you're rebuilding the temple and they don't want you to do that. They want to reign on the earth a little bit longer. You got a precept?
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 79, verse 1. O Yahweh, the heathen are coming to thy inheritance. Thy holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps.
See that?
Right? And that's what they do, right? They've been doing this over and over and over again. It's no new thing under the sun. They tried to do it back then, right? You know, the time of Nehemiah. They tried to do it in the time of Maccabees. Right? They always trying to defile the temple. They're trying to do it now, right? They tried to kill, King Herod tried to kill Christ as soon as he was born. Right, they always trying to defile the nation of Israel and tear us down.
You see that? They always try to do that. And it's in their spirit to do that. They were born. Hey, Jacob and Esau was against each other from the womb, man. Right? Esau gathered all the nations into himself, right? As he did it back then against Jacob, 400 men. Guess what? They're trying to take down Jacob all over again. Right? So go back to the Isaiah chapter 19. And what happens when you have a temple? What happens when you have an altar? You start to make sacrifices. Right? We making sacrifices and petitions to the Most High. And that's why you see America slowly falling, because the Israelites are making sacrifices to destroy this place. All right, read that.
And it shall be for a sign. This is verse 20, Isaiah 19 and 20. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors. And he shall send them a savior and a great one. And he shall deliver them.
And he shall what?
And he shall deliver them.
So our sacrifices on that altar is the elect. Men, women, and children crying unto the Most High for our oppression from the nations, and the Lord's going to send who? Yahweh Shah to deliver us from them, man. Go to James 5 and 4, Baba Kashah. We cry unto the Most High. But the cries that matter is coming from the elect, man. That's why we got to go out there and teach and find as many people to the elect are sealed, because what's the elect they're going to start to do? They're going to start to cry unto the Most High and make the sacrifices from the altar that we building.
James chapter 5 and verse 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields,
right,
which is of you kept back by fraud.
And who does that? That's the so-called white man of the other nations. They keep back things by fraud. Read on.
Kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth.
And guess what? Those cries, those sacrifices are now in the ears of the Lord. Job said he does the same thing in Job chapter 23. Read that, Baba Kashah, Job 23 and 6. All right. Job said he does the same thing.
It's the book of Job chapter 23 and verse 6. Why he pled against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him. So should I be delivered forever from my judge.
Guess what? The righteous dispute with the Lord. Meaning they make disputes. They make claims. They even tell you that right now. You get a ticket. Do you want to dispute this? Right? And you got to kind of send it in. And then you go to court. And then you make your cry out to the judge on why you shouldn't pay that ticket. That's what happens. We do that on the spiritual level. You get judged on the earth, like damn, and get killed by the so-called white man, right? And get oppressed, and you go up to the Most High and you make your disputes and your claims, and guess what? The Most High will judge him, right? So we're gonna read on from Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 21. Trying to make the time so much time like that.
The book of Isaiah 19 and verse 21. And the Lord shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day. and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform it.
Right, meaning the temple will be right, meaning the temple will be built, right? And we will return to the Most High and keep his commandments. Read on.
Verse 22, and the Lord shall smite Egypt, he shall smite and heal it, and they shall return even to the Lord, and he shall be entreated of them and shall heal them.
And that's what the Lord does, right? Go to Hosea 6:1. The Lord smites down Egypt and then he rebuilds it. What is that talking about? That's talking about the Israelites, meaning he breaks us down as a nation, he rebuilds us again, right? So you have to discern, right? This is the Lord shall smite Egypt and heal. Is he going to heal America? Is another Joseph going to rise up on the earth? Right, and Joseph's he's gonna save America from all their things. No, this Egypt is talking about America, represents our captivity and our slavery. All right, read on.
Book of Hosea chapter 6 and verse 1. Come and let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up.
Right, that's what the Lord does to Israel. He will heal us. He will break you down and then build you right back up. Go to Jeremiah 31 and 28. Okay. All right, the Lord will do these things to our people. He's going to heal us. Right now, we're in the healing phase. We've been broken down in slavery. We've been broken down in the 18 and 1900s, Jim Crow laws, redlining, right? We've been broken down for last hired, first fired. We've been broken down Planned Parenthood. We've been broken down new genocide, which is police shootings, right? Racism. But guess what? The Lord is going to build us back up because now we have a self sense of identity on earth again. Right, read that, please.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, and verse 28. It shall come to pass that, like as I have watched over them, to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and afflict, so will I watch over them and to build and to plant, saith the Lord.
Right, the Lord's going to build and plant after he has broken us down. All right, so go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 23.
It's the book of Isaiah 19 and verse 23. In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt up to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria, and the Egyptian shall serve with the Assyrians.
I see a whole bunch of, I can foresee it. There's a lot of Christians right now about to comment on this video. See, you cut yourself. Everybody can be saved. The Egyptians are going to be saved and the Assyrians. It's not what that's talking about, right? That's talking about the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom of Israel. Egypt represents the southern kingdom's captivity. Assyria represents the northern kingdom's captivity, man. Right? Go to the book of Lamentations 5 and 6. Right? The Egyptians and the Assyrians are Israelites, and 3 is a number of completion. Right? Meaning we're going to be one with northern and southern. Northern kingdom and southern kingdom are going to be one, man. Right? In that day. All right? Read that Lamentations 5 and 6. You good. Right? Our people are going to be one in that day. Right? In our captivity. We're not going to be against each other. Not going to be hating each other. Looking at a northern kingdom of Israel, I'm saying, oh, man, no, F you. No, F you. Right? That was going on in the time of Yahweh Shah. Right, but hey, we're gonna be returned back together. Read that out.
Lamentations what?
5 and 6.
It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 5 and verse 6. We have given a hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread.
All right. So we have given our hands to the Egyptians and our Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Read on.
Verse 7. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities.
Right, so essentially, the Egypt and Assyria represents the captivities all throughout the scripture of Israel. The chief captivities of Israel. Go to the book of Hosea 9 and 3. All right, that represents the captivities or the slaveries of our people.
Hosea 9 and 3.
Come.
It's the book of Hosea, chapter 9 and verse 3. They shall not dwell in the Lord's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria.
Right, so that's what it means. We don't dwell in the Lord's land, right? It says northern kingdom, what? They're going to return unto Egypt, meaning return unto slavery, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria, because Assyria had northern kingdom in slavery during that time. That's before, right after Hosea prophesied about it. Right, go to Isaiah 27, verse 12. So we're showing you through precepts that Egypt and Assyria in this context is talking about Israel, right, being saved from their slavery.
The book of Isaiah 27 and verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel.
The Lord said he's going to gather the Israelites one by one from the stream of Egypt, O ye children of Israel. Right, we're on.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
Yeah, so the Lord's going to gather his elect from the slaveries. And what does that represent? Egypt and Assyria, right, in this context. And we're going to worship the Most High in that land. So we're showing you these things. Go to, or one more precept, go to Zechariah 10 and 10. So this is not talking about the actual Egyptians and Assyrians. It's not talking about the other nations, man. It's talking about Israel.
Zechariah chapter 10 and verse 10. I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria. I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them.
See that? Right? So go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 23. So, right? Because now you got a plethora of precepts to show those Egyptians and Assyrians are now Israelites. Right? That's going to be saved by Yahweh Shah from the Most High to worship in the land. Right, read that.
It's Isaiah 19 and verse 24. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land.
So that three represents completion, meaning northern kingdom, southern kingdom. They're going to be one accord. The Lord's going to give our people one heart in that day. Go to Ezekiel 11 and 33. The Lord is going to give our people. There's not going to be Catholic, Protestant. There's not going to be this doctrine versus my doctrine. There's not going to be any of that, man. Everybody's going to be on one accord under Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua. Right now, everybody's not on one accord. Even within in the truth, in the congregations. You have so many doctrines in Israel, man. All right, read that.
Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 11.
No, 11 and 33.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse number 33. Ain't no 33.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and 11. Try that.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse number 11. It say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh.
No, it's like Ezekiel 11 and 19.
Okay.
That's what I want. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19, to show that they're going to be at one heart in that day.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 11, and verse 19. And I will give them one heart, and will put a new spirit within you. I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep mine ordinances and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God.
Right? So that Lord's going to do that in that day. We're going to be brought back, right, as one people, right, in that day. Go to Jeremiah 51 and 33. All right.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, and verse 33. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor.
It's like Jeremiah 50 and 33, so I believe I will.
Jeremiah 50 and verse 33.
Let me see. Yup.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
So we're oppressed together in this land. But guess what? In that day, we're going to be reigning together under one heart, as the Lord said. So go back to that in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 20.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, and verse number 25. Whom the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, mine inheritance.
And we just read who those people are, man. It's talking about all of the Israelites from northern and southern kingdom. The Lord said we're all going to be one accord in that day. Go to Isaiah chapter 17, verse 7.
Isaiah 17, verse 7.
Huh.
It's the book of Isaiah 17, verse 7. At that day shall a man look to his maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel.
See that? We're doing.
And he shall not look to the altar, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made, either the groves or the images. In that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken bow, and an uppermost branch, which they left because of the children of Israel, and there shall be a desolation.
Right, so guess what? They're going to be looking to the Lord of hosts in that day, and we're going to have respect unto the Most High. Everybody's going to be worshiping our God. We're going to be teaching the elect is going to be teaching the law, statutes, and commandments, right, to the other nations, man. And they're going to learn how to worship the Lord, man. Right? But Lord willing, this video is edifying. All right. All praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua. Right? Like I said, who's coming back if you another video, Lord. You took mighty notes, man. Right? It's the Abba Yalo.
Brother Kazawan.
Right? And keep the Sabbath holy. Right? And praise the Most High on this glorious day and rest. All praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. Shalom.